Yeah, so yes, before understanding today's concepts, let's try to recollect it what we were understanding yesterday, and then we go ahead. Yeah, yesterday, two concepts which we were understanding on the EC2 instances. So one, it was with the security group. Yeah, importance of the security group which we are trying to understand it. Yes, the EC2 instance with the service. So once that is ready, so who can access that service? That means who is in the sense like from which IP addresses that can be accessed to access that service. That's we can control it with the security group. But security group default behavior is by default all inbound rules disabled, that is denied, and outbound rules from the EC2 instance to that outside, that is allowed. But on the base of application and application services, that is database service or the middleware service or the web service, which we are launching about it on this EC2 instance, we need to enable the inbound rules. Yeah, that is one concept. Yes, how do we define the inbound rules? Yes, the protocol. You can use it the default TCP protocol, so no issues. But if you have the specific service based, that is HTTP based or SSH based or HTTPS based or IMAP or LDAP, if you have any specific service, you can use it that the specific protocol. But any protocol internally is going to use the TCP. The type of the protocol, then port range, yes, which ports, source of the system that we want to allow that, and finally description of it. There are the 5 attributes we have to define one rule. Yeah, access to ports, authorized IP ranges, control of inbound network, control of outbound network. That's we define in the security group. But security group, how it is going to work like as it is working like as a firewall, but not at OS level. At this is working like at it is running the rules at a hardware level. That is, before entering into the request to the EC2 instance, the rules will be evaluated. If the rules are allow rule is satisfied, then it is allowing to enter that request to the EC2 instance. But if it is a deny rule, it will be blocked here itself. If it is a block, then user is going to get it connection timed out, because so it is trying to access it, but it is not allowing the security group to enter into that. It will be blocked. That is a connection timed out. We will see that. And if it is allowed internally, and if the service is having some issue, service is not able to process it, then these users who are accessing that service, they are going to get the exception, that is connection refused, or page cannot be displayed, or 404, those kind of the errors. Some 5xx service related errors we have, that is a 503, 502. So those kind of errors you will see that is service related issue. And as one more point, we are trying to understand it. One security group can refer that another security group also. But this one practically we will talk it whenever we are working with the load balancers and the middleware components and to the backend databases. Yeah, that was one concept. Then we were understanding private and public IP addresses also. So private IP addresses, we have some range, that is a 10 series, 172 series, and 192 series. But the remaining all the IP addresses which are on the network, they are all the public IP addresses, especially IPv4 format. Yeah, two different networks in the local, the private networks can have the same CADR, no issues. But public IP address is unique IP address. Public IP address is unique. So one public IP address, if it is assigned to me, then that is unique IP address. No, it is not going to assign the same IP address to at the same time to the two devices. Yeah, there are some points we are understanding, but as EC2 behavior, what we have to see is whenever we stop it and start the EC2 instance, the public IP address is going to change it as we have the dynamic approach, dynamic IP address mechanism. But if you need that static public IP address to the EC2 instance, then what is the concept or what is the service we can use it is that is the elastic IP. Yes, you can um, the request that's one elastic IP from the Amazon pool, and we can associate that public IP or elastic IP to the EC2 instance. So when do we use it? That mechanism is yes, for the development environments or testing environments, we are using one the EC2 instance, which is required some standard IP address to the development team or testing team. Then we use it elastic IP concept, because whenever we restart it, it is changing the public IP and keep on pinging that the public IP address to the teams that is not recommended, right? We need to have the standard approach. So if you have this kind of the requirement, then we use the elastic IP association, but you will get it maximum 5 elastic IPs to the AWS account. Yes, this was a concept which we are understanding about the security groups and the public and private IP address mechanism, public IP address behavior of the EC2 instance. That is a dynamic approach, but static if you need it. Yes, we have the solution for that problem also. That is elastic IP. But elastic IP, don't try to use it. That maximum avoid it until there is a specific use case to use it. Use it. Otherwise, avoid it. Elastic IP is assigning to the EC2 instances. And make sure that if you're not using that elastic IP, release that elastic IP back to the Amazon pool. So why it is, if you have taken but you are not using that public IP is nothing but as a demand of the public IP addresses point of view, AWS is going to charging on it. Yeah, there are some important points which we should know that on the security groups and public private IPs and the elastic IP concept. Is it clear? Any queries, questions, please let me know. If you are good with that, then just type this in the chat window clear. Then we'll go ahead to the next concept. Yeah, good. Good response from everyone. Thank you. Let's move into that. The next concept. And one more point, yes, the lab guides, whenever you are using that, the lab guides which was prepared that the before, the screenshots, but AWS, the user interface, they are keep on changing that. As it changes, we have maybe you don't see that exact screens, but the inputs, fields, and everything that is almost the same. Before they were given that in the add user section, the multiple users at the same time you can add it, but the latest changes point of view, they have removed that. You can add it only one user at the same time. But if you need that 4 users, 4 times you need to repeat it that, creating that users. Yeah, that is just
yesterday I thought same thing, but I want to know exactly. That's why I asked it.
yeah, no issues. Yes, I thought it to mention it, but I forgot
Means
it.
if we want to create 50 users, we need to perform that activity 50 times. Na, it is waste of time, na, sir.
That's point of view. Automation approaches we use. That's we'll come back later.
Okay, fine.
That is, you can use it AWS CLI or Terraform. So with those approaches, you can easily manage that. If you have that number of the same resources creation, then automation think of it. But for the timing, just to concentrate on the concepts learning. Yeah, good. So let me, I mean, we're already doing that Apache service instance launching. Okay, so let me go ahead quickly launching the EC2 instance manually. Now, manually in the sense, yes, first what we are going to do is, let me go back to the browser. So I have already logged into this, to the AWS console, and one instance which was terminated, don't worry about this. Now let me go for, you know it, right? How do you access this section? Or do you want to show me that from the log off and login? Right, so we are doing that every day. Yes, go to the EC2 instance section and which region you would like to create it. Yes, I'm going to use the Mumbai region. I'm going to launch one instance for Apache service to run it. Already we know it, all these activities, but let me quickly do that. Which server we are going to launch it now? Web server. I'm not just launching the virtual machine. We are going to use it, this virtual machine, to install Apache service. Yes, web server. And yeah, Amazon Linux is the AMI I'm going to use it. Amazon Linux 2 AMI. So use this Amazon Linux 2 AMI. T2 micro, that's fine, free tier eligible. Key pair, already key pair also we have. So let me use it that key pair. I hope so, the demo one, right? The which we are using. Yeah, let me choose the key pair because we need to connect it to the system to install the Apache service. Yes, this is required. Key pair is required. Network settings, yes, I'm not going to touch anything. For the time default, go ahead. And security group also, we have this already. Let me use that existing security group, which we are using. Yeah, I hope so. This one, which we are creating the launch wizard for. On storage, okay, let's go ahead with the default options. But in the EBS section, separately we'll talk it. Yeah, how many number of instances? One instance. That's fine. Let's go ahead. This activity already we were doing this in the previous also. This is not the new activity which I'm performing. We know it already. This activity is web server. It is launching now. So while launching, it requires some time, right? Both a process point of view, kernel to initializing, and hardware components, the management. It's required some time. So let's wait. Yeah. So status check is important. It is still initializing. Meanwhile, I'm going to use it one script to install the HTTP service. We know it already, HTTP service implementation. I mean, that is M update, updating the system, then M install HTTP, then systemctl start HTTP, systemctl enable HTTP. And if you'd like to deploy the static content file, yes, where to HTML file, yes, just copy that, the index.html file, do that. Yes, all these activities to perform it, let me take it one script. Yeah, so this is a script I'm going to use it. Already we know it. Updating the system, installing HTTP, starting HTTP, enabling HTTP, and finally with this content, so we are going to create one index.html file. But what about this content to understand it? Now let me talk it some points on this. The metadata section of the EC2 instance. EC2 metadata. What is this EC2 metadata? Okay, so let me go back to the instance. So still that is initializing. Anyway, let me try to access this. Let's take the public IP. Let's go to the mobile extern. And I have so many sessions. Let me clean up these sessions. Let's use the private key, that is a demo.pem file. Let's connect to the system. Yes, connected. So let me run it quickly, that those commands updating the system. Yes, any system you are starting from the scratch, the first to do the update. Then let's go for installing HTTPD package. Then let's go ahead using the systemctl, starting the service, that is systemctl start HTTPD, and let's enable also. Enable, that is if I restart the system, automatically the service will be rebooted. Starting and enabling, and now we know that accessing this through the browser also, that is a test page. By default it is showing that. Okay, so this is a default application which is hosted on this Apache server, but I would like to deploy that, or I would like to add the content like this in this index.html file. What is the content? Hello world from host. I would like to display that, on which host it is running, and as well as this virtual machine, in which region, or which, sorry, in which availability zone it is running that. I need this output also, but how do I get it, that availability zone? So this virtual machine, the whatever we are using that, in which availability zone it is running. Now manually we can verify here. If we come to here, we can see this, yes, this is running, that's in the AP South 1B. This is the availability zone. And what is the host name it is having is if we just refer to the private DNS name, so this is the host name which is having that. So I would like to get these two details in this index.html file. That means with the custom data, I would like to deploy it. But in the custom data, in the index.html file, what is the content we are expecting? The host name of this system, I would like to print it, and in which availability zone this is running that. I need to add it that content also. So how do we get it these details from the running instance? Now this running instance, but from this running instance, if I would like to get that the host name, yes, I can run this command hostname -f. Yeah, this is a private DNS name, it is returning that. Good. But how do I get it? This is a Linux command. This is the Linux command. But how do I get it the availability zone? Or a type of instance, some metadata I need it. Now this instance related some information I need it, data I need it. So how do we get it that the virtual machines related the metadata information is? What is the concept we have is AWS has been given that. Yes, metadata concept. You can get that metadata by using that this link. So what is the IP address they have given is, this is the IP address they have given. 169.254.169.254. So from the EC2 instance, if you request this one, let me try to run it. Curl command. Yes, now we see this, we are able to get that some dynamic data and the metadata. So if you go to that each folder, which folder, like a dynamic, if I go to the dynamic, you see the some more options. Instance identity, and in this instance identity, so now we have the document, RSA information, signature information, some other details we have that. So dynamic contains some security related the information. But if I go to the metadata folder, so what about this link? I mean, this URL is getting or giving by AWS team. So if you need that instance information, you can request that for the metadata. Yeah, now whenever I request this metadata, you see this, it is giving some details. If you need the AMI ID of this instance, which AMI ID it is using, and what is the public host name, what is the public IPv4. So what is that instance? Yes, host name it is giving, instance IDs, instance type. Suppose if I use it instance type, what is that instance type that is using by this instance? T2 micro. It is returning the value. Do you see that here? So, do you see that here availability zone? What we are looking about it, I need to print in the index page or in that website. I need to print in which availability zone my instance is running that. But here we don't see that availability zone information. That means in yeah, security group IDs also you can get it. But if you see the slash is nothing but this is the directory representation. That means you have some more properties within that directory. And this is the attribute. Instance ID if you need it, yes, you can use it that instance hyphen ID or instance type. But if you refer that's the placement section, let me just refer that the placement, yes, this is the one more directory. If I go to this directory, now you can see the some more properties. So in the placement, yes, in which placement, what we are looking about it? Availability zone. Now you see this in which availability zone the instance is running. This is the one, right? The which you are expecting to get this as an output. AP South 1B. But I'm able to access within the EC2 instance. Okay, this is about management console. In the management console, AWS team, they are giving that attributes. We are happy to view that all the details. This is manual. If I are opening this management console is nothing but the manual. You are here, you are clicking on this particular section, you are hitting this button or anything you are doing is nothing. This is manual approach. But if I would like to automate it, at least I should able to run the command. So now I'm able to use this command to get it the availability zone. Now this command output, I will redirect it to that index.html file. So one is hostname -f. I need to print that on which host it is running. That is a host name, because they're all whenever next we are going to move into the multiple EC2 instances. Through the load balancer, if you would like to check it, my request is routed to that which instance. So instance identification is IP address, but that instance is running in which data center? Data center. To identify that, I need to have the availability zone. So those things we are trying to print into that in the index.html file. If I'm having this with that information, then whenever I see this, my Apache is running on which instance, in which availability zone, I can easily understand that. Instead of going to that with the default page, I mean, now this is running on which availability zone, which system. By using that IP address, we can identify that. But if you are routing, if you are working with the load balancer next, load balancer is going to route to the server 1 or server 2 or server 5. We don't know that. But to understand that which server it is routed. So this is the metadata. We are going to use it from the EC2 instance. What we are calling this one now? EC2 metadata. So now what I do is, so I'm going to run it this token key. So token is, yeah, sometimes some security related authentication will be denied. So this point of view, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to run this command with the token key and a particular time to work it on it. Yes, this is the first command. Yeah, token key has been generated and it is going to wait until this particular time, because you are accessing that the metadata is nothing but you need to have authentication. But that authentication we are going to provide with this token key metadata seconds. And now I'm going to request this. Yeah, so it has been assigned to this variable. Okay, let me run this command. So this, this output, this command output, we are going to assign to this variable. Is a variable initialization. Yeah, echo dollar token. This is a variable. Yes, this is the token key. We are going to use it. And with this token key, we are going to request this metadata placement section. What do we would like to print it? What would like to get it? Availability job. So using the token key, now I'm going to getting about it availability zone and I'm assigning to this variable. We know it, right? Child command execution. This is a subcommand we are executing curl with this token key requesting to this metadata. Now to this variable, we have assigned the availability zone. If I try to print this variable, how do we read the variable? We know it. Yes, we got it AP South 1B. Now this variable and the command output hostname -f, this command output, I'm going to redirect it to the var www html index.html file. Now let me run it with the sudo options. And I'm just going to run this command. Now if you refresh this index page, where is that index page? Yeah, if I just refresh this, yes, now we got it. Some custom message, hello world from. So this is the IP address of the system with complete full name. It is giving that. And it is running in availability zone. Is not getting that availability zone. That means that variable is not taken. Okay, we have set up this variable in the different, right? For the different user. Let me rerun it one time or one more time this command. Yes, now this is running in the availability zone, that is AP South 1. Is it clear at that about metadata section? How
Yes,
do you
sir.
get it
So
that?
can we use this IP directly in Windows flavor? See how is the structure? It's
Which
169.254.
which
Now you are trying
command?
to access no the IP address which you are the server IP, the URL you are trying to see the metadata.
No, that is you cannot access it outside.
Okay. So inside server it will be
Yes,
accessed.
yes. This IP address, especially 169.254.169.254, AWS has given this the server IP address to get that about this EC2 instance related metadata information. This is only specific to that EC2 instances only. Suppose if I take this command and if I run it on the Windows, like if I use the git bash terminal on the Windows, so it is not able to get the details. So now this system, it is trying to get it, but the system is not running on AWS, right?
Yes.
So it is trying to connecting that about the system information to collect it from the AWS EC2 mechanism and failed to connect it. This is available only on AWS EC2 instances. This is given by that AWS team. So if you just browse it at AWS metadata of EC2 instance, or how do you get that metadata of the EC2 instance? If you just browse it, yeah, the documentation of the Amazon. If you go to here, the instance metadata and user data. User data will come back, but metadata wise, okay, they have given some more sublinks. The instance metadata is the data about your instance that you can use to configure or manage the running instance. Instance metadata is divided into categories. For example, host name or events and security groups. Yes, you can differ that instance metadata categories, available versions of the instance metadata. Yeah, so you can see this, there are all the properties: AMID, launch index, manifest path, AMIDs, auto scaling, block device information. So they're all the like properties that we can get it on the base of that instance. What are the backend configurations which is running? Suppose that instance is launched with auto scaling group, then you will get it auto scaling group information also. So
Hello.
network information. Yes, you see the placement. Placement we are talking about it. Which one it was giving that availability zone, right? Yes, availability zone it is given. So this is the providing by that AWS team. This is not outside instances, you cannot use it. If you refer to some more guidance and they say that clearly this IP address which you need to use it. Yes, so this is the IP address with IPv4 and IPv6 if you like to use it. So this is the IPv6 format to request the instance metadata. And as we are using about the token key also, why I am using the token key in some context is, yes, you see this referring this documentation. Now you see that this is the command actually, sometimes it is going to get failure with the authentication whenever you are requesting the metadata. If you have those issues with that authentication, then use it the token key as a latest version point of view. But old version, you can directly run it with the curl command. You will get the data. But the latest the metadata, the version that is a 2, if you are using that, then you need to, if you directly run it, the curl command with this, so this curl command with this, it throws exception that is authentication failed, then you need to use this command. First a token generate it, then use that token to get it all the details. Is it clear about these points? Yeah, so you see that's like a 401 unauthorized or forbidden. If you see that, then these are all then token related issues. Then you need to add this token key. Yeah, examples of the retrieving instance metadata. You can see that get the available versions of the instance metadata, top level metadata items, list of available public keys. So there are like a different formats, and you can see this the finding about that, the details in this format, how to use it, and in this version, how to use it. So they have clearly given the documentation. So are you clear about this? The instance metadata, how do you get it? So type that the metadata in the chart window. Everyone, if you are good with that. So I'm going to share this script in the chart window, which you can type it and you can use it that the token key and all that. As a latest version point of view, it is required the token key, but previous versions the token is not required. But even if you refer that say AWS documentation also, you can find those commands. But instead of struggling that, I'm just sharing that the script, just copy it and use it whenever you are practicing this. But maybe in the lab guide, you see that directly the curl command. In our AWS labs, directly you see that curl command in the metadata. But now, as a latest version point of view, you need to use it. Token key generation, then you can use the curl command. Token is, it is providing some session, user session. Then whenever you are requesting that with that user authentication, you will get the details. Okay, so that is about custom deployment of the application to the Apache service. Now I have the clarity. The before test page was displaying, but now I can see this my Apache from which system I'm accessing that, the system on which availability zone is running that. For the next any instances I'm going to running with Apache, I'm going to use it this block of the code, because then we'll be having the clarity whenever we are working with the multiple EC2 instances. Okay, which instance, which availability zone, is it even one availability zone instance got failed, the second instance, is it available or not from the second availability zone, as we're talking that data centers failovers to handle that. Yeah, all those things to understand it. Yes, this is the block of the code. I'm going to use it for the next deployments. Okay, this one we have done manually, right? Here one point what we have to say is what we were doing is yeah, obviously launching that instance, that is fine. But after launching that instance, I'm using the mobile XTEM and connecting to the system and m update, m install, starting HTTPD, enabling HTTPD, then token generation for metadata, then finally the host name and availability zone, adding to the index.html. All these things I'm running the manually. But I don't want to run all these commands manually, the setup commands, whatever we are talking that. They're all setup commands as a custom deployment to the Apache service. I don't want to run it manually after launching that instance. Can I instruct it to that EC2 instance while launching itself, provisioning all these commands? So means executing all these commands. If I define in one script, not script or directly if I instruct all these commands to the EC2 instance. So while launching, while launching the EC2 instance, I would like to execute these custom commands. Can I instruct it to the EC2 instance? Yes, we can do that. That is, we say that user data. So far, which we discussed, metadata. Metadata is data about data, that is EC2 instance information. But now we are going to talk about the user data. This is about our custom data, custom commands. I would like to run it during launching the EC2 instance. I don't want to do that manually, all these things, especially package management, service management, users management, whatever the Linux commands we are talking about it. All those things we can do that automation with user data. Yeah, let's quickly understand this. What is this user data? It is possible to bootstrap about our instances using an EC2 user data script. Yes, bootstrapping. Yes, during launching that instance, one system boot up is ready and the kernel is ready. And before getting the ready to the user, I would like to run it about our custom user data. Then we can use it. EC2 is providing user data section, which we can use it as a provisioning. Bootstrapping means launching commands whenever the machine starts. Yes, while launching the machine itself, I would like to run some commands. Instead of, okay, system getting ready, then connecting to the system and installing the packages. Instead of doing that, I have some packages which are required during that system initialization time itself. Then we can use it, this user data. So that script, that means user data script, is only run once. That is important. So it is going to run it only once at the instance first time launching. But if you are going to stopping and starting, then this user data is not going to executing that. So while launching time, these scripts which will be executed. That is important. And EC2 user data is used to automate boot tasks. Yes, boot up time, what are the tasks we have? Suppose I need to install that, the packages or updating the packages, downloading the files from the internet while the system getting ready. Yes, I need to download some files and make it ready of those files. Or anything you can think of it during the launching, which is required before getting the system ready to the user. Then what I would like to do that, yes, we can plan it in the user data section. Yesterday we got it one question, that's how I can define that instead of using that so the private keys, that is a PEM file dependency, can I have it about our custom username and password based authentications? Yes, we can have it about our custom user creation and custom user password specifying that. You can implement the shell script and you can run that script during launching that instance. Then you don't have the dependency on the key pairs. Then you can use it about your username and password to connect to the system. But this demonstration, I have that in DevOps instances point of view, application section. But yes, that is a solution. User data is a solution. If you like to create a users, if you like to set the passwords to that users, or if you like to enable that SHA based communication, password based communications, yes, whatever you think it of it during the launching, the customizations which are required on that EC2, we can do with the user data. Maybe you got the clarity about it. That's the question which you were asking us yesterday. Anyway, we'll see this practically, but yes, this is the solution. If you have any customizations while launching the EC2 instance, that could be packages installation, updating the packages, users management, network configurations, all those things we can write as a shell script, and the shell script you can call it in the user data. And one important point what we have to say is user data script runs with the root user. Suppose maybe here if you have observed that whenever I am running this command in this system, I switch it to the root user. I switch it to the root user. I didn't run it with EC2 user because this script, whatever it has been implemented with the root user. Do you see that here sudo options? I didn't define that any sudo. I didn't define any sudo here, sudo here. That means the script, whatever you are going to use it in the user data, in the script, all the commands that will be run with the root user. So this is one more important point. So it is going to use that. The EC2 user data script runs with the root user. You don't need to use the sudo options or so some super user privileges. By default, it is going to use it root user. Yeah, let's get hands dirty. So why are working with this user? It's simple, straightforward, it's nothing big deal. So we want to make sure that this EC2 instance has an Apache HTTP server installed on it to display a simple web page. For it, we are going to write one user data script, and this script will be executed at the first boot of the instance. Let's see that. So now I'm going to launch it one more EC2. This is about our we have done through web server manual. Just to understand it, I just defined this is the manual which we are doing that. Once the EC2 instance is launched and we have connected and we are executing all the commands one by one. But next instance, okay, I'm going to launch a launching point of view. Now I don't have any solution. We didn't discuss that. Even this one, we are going to talk it to the Terraform. Once the Terraform is discussed, even this one also we are not going to launch it through the browser. But for the timing, Terraform, we don't know that, right? Because without knowing these concepts, I cannot start the Terraform. So Terraform, before going to move into that, AWS is the input for it. Yeah, I'm going to use it, launching that instance, the manually. This is a web server, but Apache provisioning, we are going to do that automation. That is with user data. Okay, let me define that clearly, user data. So Apache launching, we are doing with a provisioning system, that is with a shell script by using user data. Okay, so name, I'm just giving that identification web server user data. And let me use it the same AMI, that is Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Type of instance, that is T2 micro. Key pair, yes, I would like to use the same key pair. But even we don't need the key pair now. Actually, if we just talk it, I'm going to launch it everything through the user data. But if it, in case if it is required some verification, I need to have this login pointer with the key, right? That's why I'm attaching that. Network settings, just go ahead and select that existing security group, that is launch wizard 4, which we are using that, the previous one. And storage, let's leave it the default. Now, where I can define the user data. The remaining properties so far which we discussed, the whatever we are understanding for this instance, the same thing. But here in the advanced detail section, the one more point you can see here, if you scroll down, user data section is available. But this is optional, but recommended. So if you would like to provision the systems, provisioning, instead of launching with the default configuration, I would like to do some customizations by launching it. So those customizations related script, you can define it here. So let me copy this script, whatever we discussed so far. I just shared in the chart window also for about your reference. You can copy it and keep it in the notepad, and during the lab guide, you can work with it. Yeah, I just kept that all those Linux commands in the user data section. With that metadata, we are going to getting about the availability zone. In which availability zone it is launching, we don't know that. Now we have defined that's all the security network configuration default. Default, it is going to use the random data center. Yeah, token we have defined, and then Using that with the token and metadata, we are trying to get it availability zone. And this availability zone, we are trying to print it in this index.html file. Okay, so this is the section we are talking about. Yeah, the remaining story is the same. Are you clear this point, this section, user data section? Simple additional one more property while launching instance, user data. Here we can define the sequence of the commands which are required during the boot of the system. But this is going to run it with root user, and this will be executed only launching time, not restarting time. If you do the stop it and start it, if you do some modifications and if you do stop and start it, it won't be reflected. So this will be executed only during the launching time, that is only one time. Yes, let's launch the instance. Now we can sit and relax, and we are getting the system is getting ready. And not only that, my service is also getting ready. That is web server. Web server is also getting ready with the deployment, custom application deployment. Not only just installation, not only just starting and enabling, and whatever the custom deployment we have, that is index.html file, that is also getting ready during the boot up time itself. Yeah, it is still initializing. Let's wait some time. Are you clear? Are you following the points, everyone? Interesting, right? The concepts. Just type that interesting. If you feel just understanding all these concepts, and if you are the very you are having this interest on this working these concepts, you just type that interesting. Yeah, good, 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 good. But this concept still we are talking that the manual. For this one, as a DevOps engineer, we need to write as a code. That is the next level. But without knowing all these things, we cannot go ahead to the next level. So that's why I wonder how the DevOps can be completed within the 2 months, that entire course. So just to know that the inputs which are required for the DevOps engineer itself takes that 2.5 months. That is Linux, the shell scripting. Now we are using the shell scripting. Without knowing that all the shell scripting concepts, if I talk it that, then you will be in the confusion mode, right? What is this script? What is this m install? What is this the systemctl start, enable, and variable w index the HTML file. If you wouldn't have done this at least one time with the manual, then understanding the script is difficult. Okay, good, we are good. So the instance is ready. Let's take it the system public IP address. I don't want to log in it. Directly I go to the browser. I would like to check it. My Apache service is ready or not. Yes, that is ready. Hello world. From this is the host name of the system, and it is running in the availability zone. By default, it is taking that's all the instances in 1B. If you just observe that, this is also launched in 1B. Yeah, 1B. But we can control it. That is in the networks. I will talk at that. I don't want to, suppose everything, if it is launching this in the 1B, 1B, but if this data center is having some maintenance activities or some failures is happened, then we lose it all these instances, right? So we need to split it. One is in 1A and another one in 1B. Even one data center we lost it also. We'll be having another data center. Availability zone, what is that? Data center only, right? That will come back. How you can manage it, distributing the instances into the multiple availability zones, while working with that auto scaling group, that is dynamically launch it. Now we are doing that manually. But even these instances dynamically, how do I launch it? That is auto scaling group. We are going to work with that as a current demand point of view. Yes, if the more users are accessing that application, then the load is increasing on the instances. Then we need to have it more instances. More instances, then that has to be split those instances into different availability zones. It should not launch it all the instances in single availability zone. But for the timing, it is launching us all the things in the 1B. Don't worry that. Okay, good. So that's about user data section. And how do we see that user data, what it has been configured is? Yeah, now you can access this instance and you can go to the actions and here instance settings. Yeah, in the instance settings, you can see that edit user data. Yeah, now we can see that's what is the user data that has been configured for this instance. So this is user data. You can copy it and you can reuse it for other instances. But is it showing that any edit operation? No, right? This is read only mode. You can just read it, but you cannot edit it. But if you would like to edit it, what you need to do is, even edit also there is no meaning on, but they have given that option edit. You need to first stop the instance. First, stop the instance. Yes, I'm just stopping that. Yes, this is user data instance. Yeah, so it has been stopped. And if I go to that actions, select the instance and go to the actions and instance settings. Now you see the edit user data section. Yeah, so this is existing one. Now modify user data as a text. Or you can import from the file also. If you have this already shell script file, you can import that the complete user data using the shell script file. Yeah, now you can modify here. Let me do one thing. In this index.html file, I don't want to print the IP address. Okay, let me just to understand it, whether it is updating or not. I'm just removing that IP address. So hello world in availability zone. We are just trying to print availability zone only. I have done some update. Let me save it. Yes, you can verify this now user data has been modified or not. So select that, go to the actions, instance settings. Now yes, it has been updated. Hello world in availability zone only, we are printing that. Okay, good. So let me start the instance now. So I'm going to start the instance now. We'll observe that what's going to happen there. Is it going to update it or not? Yeah, once we restart it, as we're talking about it, IP address also going to changing, right? Yeah, before this was the IP address we are using. Now this IP address is not going to work it. That is the advantage of elastic IP. If you don't want to change that IP address, then you can use elastic IP. Just know this, the problem related solution. But elastic IP, if I have the 10 instances, 10 IPs, we don't use it. That is not the good option. But if it is required, know the solution. Let me take it the public IP address of this instance now. And let's try to access or let's test it. You see that we have updated user data also, but still it is trying to getting about the host name of the system. Actually, what we have defined? Hello world in availability zone, we are trying to print it, right? This section we have removed it. So that's point which we have to say is user data will be executed only one time. So while launching while initializing that instance, it will be not initializing. While launching that instance, it will be loaded the user data, but after that it won't be. Even now, if you check it about that, this instance settings, let's select the instance. Yeah, now here you see this hello world in availability zone only it is having, but the output we don't see this. It is not refreshing the existing service. Yeah, there is one more beauty while launching that. Sorry. While launching that, if you like to customize it, any, the system related custom commands, if you have anything, then you can use it that user data. This is the launching time. But after that, if you like to modify it, then you need to connect to the system and you need to modify it. Suppose if I would like to change that thing, then what I need to do is I need to use this IP address, connect to the system now. So this is we are doing after system ready. Just note this point. In the Terraform, whenever we are going to work it, how do we do these activities? Terraform, we are going to talk it two solutions. One is during the launching time. That's already we know user data. And as well as once it is launched and if you like to connect it and if you like to do some customizations, all the activities we cannot handle while launching. So during the launching time, if we have these packages installation, services starting, say our users management, package management, these activities you can do. But once the system is ready, something we need to deploy the applications or we need to do some configurations. Then further timing what we are doing. Now I connect it to the system. Then I'm going to the particular directory. And editing the file. And this one I'm doing that manually, right? But what is the solution that we have whenever we are working with Terraform? That is, I will give that. In the Terraform, I will provide the solution. Yeah, now I just refresh that. And if I go to the browser, just modified. If I go to the browser and if I refresh that, yes, now it has been updated. So some activities, okay, if you like to do that, the system level customization, some customizations we can do while launching the system, but some customization that is application configuration files or application related deployment files, we cannot do that while launching. So then once the system is ready, then we need to connect it and we need to do those activities. There's total two types of the configurations for the EC2 instance. One is while launching. Second one is while launching. What is the solution we are talking that from AWS? User data. But now we are doing the manual activities. If you like to, once the system is ready, how to connect it and how to do that, that is we are doing with the mobile XTM and all that. But even this one also we can automate it through the Terraform. We have some provisioners. You can use that provisioners, you can connect it and you can work with that. That is I will talk it in the Terraform. But know these all these problem statements. Now we got it one problem statement, that is launching time, and solution also we have, that is a user data. Another problem statement we are talking, that is I need to do some configurations once the system is ready. Then those things, as using AWS, we cannot do that. We need to use a SH mechanism, connect to the system and do that to the manually. But with the Terraform, we have the solution. That is, we will talk it, that problem related solution in the Terraform. Yeah, more use cases, more problem statements related solutions. So some solutions we can do that with manual. But manual, that is a monitoring purpose which we use it. Suppose my systems, what all the instances are running. If I would like to monitor some activities, I can do that. But launching these instances and configuring that application services or application configuration files or application deployments. So those things which we need to maximum plan it with automation approaches. I've got the clarity about it, launching time configuration, and once the system is ready, then connecting to the system and applying the configurations. Is it clear? Okay, now I don't need these instances. I'm going to terminate it. But before termination, anyone having any queries, please let me know. Today we are understanding metadata of the EC2 instance and user data of the EC2 instance so far. Is it clear about these points? Can I go ahead and terminating this instance? Because if I move to that other section, maybe I'll forget it, this terminating these instances. Then tomorrow, whenever we come to the class, these are all keep on up and running. That is unnecessarily the waste, right? I keep on forget that the things. Let me terminate it. Okay, good. So that's about metadata section and user data section. Yeah, next somewhat the concepts which we should understand theoretically, but we cannot give that the demonstration. So understanding launch types. So what about this launch types? Suppose the real-time use cases, some use cases or the problem statements, if we just talk it in the client perspective, some clients they come up with that temporary systems for their operations. Like suppose we have the batch jobs to execute at midnight. Some 2 hours or the 3 hours the job has to be executed on the system. Then after the system is no more required, then terminate the system and all the things. Yes, work is done. That is temporary system. But if I'm going to install the database kind of instances, which is have the licensed based one, license based, then I need to have the some long duration of the systems, like 1 year. But as we're talking about it, EC2 is renting, right? Yeah, some workloads, temporary workloads. Some of the services, that is, I need to have the instances long term, not just like temporarily. Database, if I'm going to using and setting up that on the machines is nothing but I need to have it. Suppose Oracle database license I have taken, and that software license based, if I need to use it, yes, I need to have some standard system, some duration. Every day launching and terminating, we don't do that. That is okay. Development and testing environments, you can do that. But some licensed version and a production environment instances, you are planning, you need to have the some duration of the systems. That is 1 year. You can take the rent. Then you will get the benefit, cost benefit. Getting the points of that. 1 year or 3 years, we have the some solutions. And some use cases, if you just okay, suppose if you have like insurance kind of application. Insurance application, the during day hours, like working days, that is morning 9 to that evening 6. During that time, as like a policies point of view, yes, maybe that is a system is having that more load. But after the 6 p.m. and early morning up to that 8 or 9, again, some load is the less compared with that. Yeah, those kind of domains like working hours will be having that high load, non-working hours will be having the less load. But during the working hours, suppose if I use it, suppose normal systems stability point of view, I need to have 5 systems. But during the working hours, it is required some 10 systems. That means 5 additional systems I need to take it between the 9 to 6. And morning 9 o'clock, yes, take that, the 5 more systems. Always that is the standard systems, 5 systems. But during that, the working hours to handle the load between the 9 to 6, I need to have some more systems to handle the current load. That is scheduled based, I need to have every day working days, 9 to 6, 10 systems I need to run it. But after the 6 p.m., just I need that 5 systems. Because cost is going to play important role here. If you are always keep on running the 10 systems, night after the 6 to that early morning 8, almost the 14 hours additional amount you are paying this, right? Unnecessary amount you are paying this, right? To the provider. Cost optimization is also important. That is on the basis of the use case, which we have the application services which are running on the systems. Yeah, one is temporary workloads. Second one is long-term workloads. Third kind of the use case, schedule based, I need to have some additional resources, additional instances, only particular duration. Another one is like as we are talking that the cloud, let me try to draw some points. Suppose yes, you have taken the data center, and in the data center we have the racks, and what are the instance the which we have taken. But that instance finally it has to use it hardware resources, right? Taking from the racks, RAM or storage, whatever we are talking that, yes, that has to be obviously placed in one of the rack. But in the normal approach, if you just talk it in the normal, suppose I have taken one EC2 instance. That EC2 instance, maybe it is launched in this, the rack one, in this data center. Or maybe if I take it one more EC2 instance, yes, it is launched in the different, the rack, that is the hardware resources. So there is no guarantee on the placement of about our EC2 instance. There is no guarantee. because by default it is going to use it shared pool. As we have the cloud is a shared pool. Yeah, one of my EC2 instance is launched in the rack 1 and another EC2 instance is launched in another rack. But if I'm having if it is required the communications between these two, yes, from this network to this network, yes, data, if it is required to synchronize it or data to copy it, definitely the fraction of seconds or the milliseconds will be having the latency issues because these two are not in the same hardware. Getting the points of it. This is a shared pool, common behavior or default behavior. And one more point in this shared pool, suppose this EC2 instance is belong to my account. Maybe you are launching that EC2 instance. Maybe that EC2 instance is in this rack. This is about your EC2 instance, which is taking about hardware resources. With that, it has been launched in this rack. And this is my instance with my own networks. These are all secured, definitely, but hardware sharing, virtualization concepts, backend. So what are the 2 GB I am requesting? That the 2 GB has been taken from this rack. And you are also requested something 4 GB. The 4 GB, it is taking the same hardware. Backend, it is using the virtualization. I mean, the front end, it is using the virtualization, but backend hardware components are the same, which have been shared pool. But as a security concern point of view, and the latency issues to reduce that, as we're talking that, one of the EC2 instance in this placement and another EC2 instance in another pool or another rack server, because there is no placement. But I have my banking application, some secured the data. I need to use it, the specific controlling that hardware resources. That means the dedicated hosts I need it. That means dedicated hardware. That means what are the hardware which has been allocated? It should not be allocated to that. My instances, yes, it can be allocated, but to others, it should not be allocated. If you have this kind of the requirement, then do you have the solution from the AWS team? Yes, we have that solution. That is, which we can say that dedicated instances and dedicated host. We have that 2 types of the solutions. Yeah, temporary jobs or workloads if you like to run it, permanent workloads to run it, schedule-based instances if you need it, and dedicated the instances or the host. What is this instance and host? Let me just clarify that one also. Dedicated instance is nothing but, suppose whenever I launch the first time the instance, so here there is no placement guarantee. There is no placement guarantee. But secured point of view, what of the instance which is launched on the hardware, that hardware is not going to share it to others. That means that is a dedicated hardware for me, for my instance. Security point of view, it's good. But whenever I stop this EC2 instance and restart it, maybe this time this EC2 instance is moved to that, maybe another rack. Maybe another rack. This is a dedicated instance. Yes, the instance wherever it is launching that hardware is dedicated to you, but there is no guarantee on that. Always the same rack you are going to get it. That is a dedicated instance section. But what about my dedicated host is, if I prefer that dedicated host, I have the full control on the placement. Suppose if I define the placement about this, the rack, yes, all my EC2 instances for my account will be launched in the same rack. And this rack won't be shared to the other accounts. Security is high. and performance of my EC2 instance, because these two are running on the same hardware resources. Then I will be having that that data transfer is very fast. That means we don't see the latency issues. But if this EC2 instance is launched here and another EC2 instance is launched in the different rack, but to have the communication or data sharing, yes, definitely we'll have that little bit latency issues.
Sir,
Yeah, let me just conclude it. I'll come back to the question and answer section. Just let me, I'm in the last point. Yeah, so difference between the instance and host. So what is that instance? Instance, whenever it is launched, yes, it is going to give the dedicated the rack, and it won't be shared to that other accounts. But whenever I stop it and start my instances, yes, the position will be changed. There is no guarantee on the placement. But if I go for this dedicated host option, then I have that, like my team is having the full control on the placement section also. We can create a placement. That means what are the instances we are going to specify with that placement. All the instances will be in the same rack. So that is the advantage or the difference between the dedicated instance and dedicated host. Security only if you are looking at the dedicated instances, but security with the performance and placement of whatever instances into the particular dedicated position, then you can prefer the dedicated hosts. So dedicated instances, no other customers will share about your hardware. Security point of view, that is supporting, but there is no placement guarantee. But dedicated host, book an entire physical server, control instance placement. So to optimize about your performance, then this is recommended, but very, very high cost, because you are entirely taking that the hardware resources for you, and that will be high chargeable, high cost. Yeah, now let me know the point which you are having. Yeah, please. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, please go ahead with the question. Yeah, please go ahead with the questions. I mean, which you are trying to ask. I'm sorry for that. I was in the middle of the concept. I stopped it. Please go ahead now.
Sir, as discussed in dedicated instance, we will have the hardware setup in a rack, and for host, we will have a control on the particular rack. So,
Yes.
if suppose if we take the case of dedicated host, if we have created 3 to 4 instances on the same rack,
Yes.
so and both all the instances are consuming their maximum extent of their hardware, is there
Yeah.
any issue of performance related to the accessing of the resource that as these are being shared on the same rack?
Yeah. Now, whenever you are choosing about it, you need to choose that capacity of about your the systems which are required. So on the base of the dedicated host which will be allocated. Suppose then, I mean, if you need that the more, then you can increase that capacity as well as. This is the dynamic behavior. That is performance wise. Yes, you are talking about it. Maybe system hangs. That's kind of the stuff. The issues in case insufficient resources. But yes, if you are having that kind of the requirement, and later also you can request it to extend about your dedicated host. Is it clear my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you. That's all the important points which we have that on the launch types. But what are these launch types? Now, use cases we understand. Yes, like sometimes I need to run my the workloads temporarily. I need to have the temporary systems. And yes, I'm having that like middleware servers for the production or SAT servers, some dedicated systems I need to have it. Dedicated in the sense, yes, some long-term durations. Yes, then what is the type of the solution that is available from AWS? Or if I'm looking about it, hardware, dedicated hardware and placement control, then what is the kind of the solution that we have from AWS team? Yes, if you have all these kind of the problem statements or about our application infra point of view, then AWS team, they're providing that different launch types. So what are the different launch types which we have to say? On-demand instances. Suppose now now we are using that, launching the instance and using that instance, and whenever it is no more required, then terminating, right? So these type of instances we can say on-demand instances. Is whenever I need it, I'm launching, and whenever I don't need it, I'm just terminating. So these are all which can be used for the short workloads. Yeah, some jobs which you need to run it some particular time, and after that you can terminate the instances. Yes, if you have that kind of the requirement, you can use it on demand. And there are the predictable pricing. That is, cost is high compared with that other the temporary instance. Dedicated, I'm not talking the dedicated, leave with that. That is high cost on all the type of instances. But on-demand instances is yes, whenever you need it, you are requesting. Yes, these are all which will be chargeable, high chargeable. So let me show that the pricing table of the instances. So you just any service whenever you are working, and if you like to know the pricing, just use it AWS and that service pricing. Then you will get it. Yeah, so instance types based the pricing, product details. So I choose, okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, EC2 on-demand instance pricing. So if you go to this section, now we are talking that launch types. But instance types also we have. T2, micro, whatever we are talking that, those based also we have. Yeah, Amazon EC2 on-demand pricing. But all these pricing models are going to change it on the base of region, in which region you are planning to launch the EC2 instance. If I'm going to use that US region is a high demand. Then you will be having that the price per hour. Yeah, suppose now US is to Ohio and operating system is Linux, instance type, okay, all, and core process units, how many core process units on the base of all. So you can refer that. Yeah, now if you see this in this region, 578 type of available instances are available on demand point of view. And on the base of like a type of instance, core process units, memories, this is the hourly rate. So hourly rate. But T2 micro we are using, that is okay, the free tier eligibility, as we have this the current account. I mean the current yes account which we are having, the free tier account. Then if you use the T2 micro, no issues. You see this, they didn't mention the T2 micro here because there is a free tier eligibility. But remaining any type of instance, suppose you need that the core something memory is required, something 32 GB and with the 16 core process units, and you need to use that which type of instance, A1 meta. But if you're going to use it this type of instance, yes, per hour, what is the cost? $0.04. Yeah, on the base of the size, EBS, that is a volumes based storage optimized or not, network bandwidth. Suppose whenever we are taking that the fiber, that is Wi-Fi connection, is it 40 Mbps or 100 Mbps? We have the different charges, right? On the base of the network downloading options or uploading options, the data, how much data it can be transferred, we have the different charges. Like the same thing. So do you want to that like a large amount of the data to transmit over the network? Yes, network performance based also the charges which will be applicable. Yeah, data transfer based, the pricing models are available. Yeah, first 10 terabytes per month. Yes, this is the charge. Next 40 terabytes per month. Then this is the charge. Yes, on the base of the data transfer and the region. So there are the points that's considerable. And we are talking about this one on demand. On demand. Yes, Windows servers point of view, thus you'll be having the separate charge. And the Linux systems point of view, the separate charge. Are you getting the points on this? Yeah, which flavor of the system? That is AMI, right? AMI type. Yeah, on demand is as we are talking about it. That is hourly based and a temporarily jobs purpose which we can use it, but this is not recommended for long term because this is a high cost. So let me go back to that. Are you clear about these points? On demand, the cost, the impacts which will be having. So in which region you are launching, what is the type of instance that's required? That means memory capacity, the CPU capacity, network bandwidth optimized required or not, EBS optimized required or not. So all these points that will be considered for on demand. But next, as we have the C's, another type of that. Yeah, this is about which we're trying to understand on demand. Yeah, EC2 on demand, pay for what you use it, billing per second. Yes, this will be chargeable per second. And after the first minute, then the minutes wise that will be charged. Has the highest cost, but no upfront payment. Yes, these are all having the highest cost on the base of the region, demand, and instance time, capacity of that instance, EBS, yes, storage optimized, network optimized, all these points that will be considered, but no upfront payment. That means monthly the invoice will be generated. We need to pay that monthly based. No long-term commitment. Yes, launch it and use it as long as you need it. And once the usage is done, terminate it. Recommended for a short-term and uninterrupted workloads where you cannot predict how the application will behave. There are all the temporary workloads point of view which you can use it, and uninterrupted workloads. Yes. So if you have, which you can use that. But as we are understanding about it, the reserved instances, reserved. What about the reserved? I need to have that 1 year or 2 years is not available. Either 1 year you can take it or 3 years you can take it. But compare with that on-demand instances, 75% discount you can get it. 75% because you are having a long commit with them, right? But you have that options, pay upfront for what you use it with the long-term commit. Suppose if I'm going to take it the rent purpose some 1 year, if I pay this that 1 year amount upfront itself, that means before itself, then definitely we will get it some more discount on that, right? Yeah, we have that upfront options or monthly based payment options. Monthly based, if you go for that, some more fast. Yeah, so upfront we have and off upfront. I mean, some amount upfront, some amount monthly based. Yes, you have the multiple options. Reservation period can be either 1 or 3 years, and the reserves a specific instance type. Yes, here it is the specific instance type. As you are asking about it, so the first I have taken something like suppose hardware resources, something 32 GB capacity. But that 1 year you need to use it 32 GB only. You cannot change the type of instance in the mid. If you go for specific instance type. Suppose RisenShineTechnologies.com application. So that application, yes, so that's which we thought, okay, 16 GB is some stable. Then, okay, entire 1 year also, I have this like, okay, the 16 GB is enough. Then I can go for the 1 year with reserved instances and the 16 GB capacity. Then I will get that the somewhat less cost because I'm choosing that the fixed one, because they will be having the clarity. Okay, this customer, he needs that 16 GB RAM capacity for 1 year. Then they will allocate it for me, and okay, that's I'll also get it some less cost. But I don't know that how my business will be next 3 months or next 6 months as the flexibility type of instance. Maybe 16 GB today, but maybe business is growing that I need to have a 32 GB capacity next or 64 GB capacity next. That means flexibility, 1 year commitment, but you have the flexibility while choosing the instances. Then we have the another type. In the reservoir itself, we have the fixed type of instance and flexible instance type. But here we are talking about it, this is a fixed one. A reservation period, that is 1 year or 3 years, and specific instance type. That is, if you need the 16 GB, that's the entire 1 year you need to use the 16 GB. In the mid, you cannot change it that. But if you're going to change it, that is additional cost. That is available. You can request it, but that is additional cost. Yeah, recommended for steady state usage application. As we are talking about it, steady state like RisenShineTechnologies.com. Yes, we have the cool application. And yes, we have this capacity. Okay, 16 GB is required. Yes, I have that estimation. I can choose it. This. But e-commerce like a high load, I cannot predict it. What is the today load? What is the tomorrow load? Then those type of you cannot choose this, right? Getting the points of it. That is about your application, the requirement based, and workloads, the services which are running on that instance based. You can plan it choosing the launch type. Yeah, as we're talking about the reserved instances, that is a fixed one, fixed instance type. But we have the convertible also. But this is somewhat high cost compared to this one, because we don't know that at which time, which type of instance you are going to request it. Maybe you are going to increase about your system capacity. Maybe you are going to decrease about your system capacity. The AWS team, they cannot predict you, right? That means first you are asking this today 16 GB, maybe tomorrow 32 GB. I need to allocate that 32 GB to you. I will charge it some additional cost. Yes. So that is a convertible. It can change the instance type as per whatever requirement. But only you will get it 54% discount on the on demand. But this is 75% because you have some fixed instance type here. Yeah, they will buy that hardware and they will allocate to you. Okay, 16 GB he is requesting for the next 1 year. Okay, give it to the 16 GB to him. They have the fixed one. Then they can give the some discount on. But if you go for the convertible, maybe today you will ask the 16 GB, maybe tomorrow you will ask the 32 GB, or maybe you will ask the 8 GB on the base of the demand of about your application. Convertible. Then they do that additional charge. That is, you will get it only 54 per discount, but you will get it, yes, flexibility. And as we're talking about the schedule, yes, as the working hours, non-working hours based, the load, those kind of applications, the normal I need to have it on an average 5 instances. But during the working days, working hours especially, I need to have some more additional instances adding to my current environment. Then we can go for the scheduled reserved instances. If I define the schedule like a morning 9 to the evening 6, some more 5 instances required. If I schedule it one time, then every day morning 9 o'clock, I will get it 5 more instances. And evening 6 p.m., that's the instances which will be released back to the pool. These are all cost optimization techniques and handling the dynamic, the load. Because the client knows his the load at what time, so what's going to happen is, right? Which kind of the workloads he is running that, the duration of the workloads, is it a permanent, is it a temporary workloads, and convertible or the fixed one. Are you clear at these points? Yeah, you can request these all on the basis of the day wise or the weekly wise or monthly wise. Another type which we have to see is spot instances. So far we should discuss on demand and reserved. In the reserved we have convertible, schedule based, fixed based. I'll show that where do we have all these options. I'll come back. But whether it is reserved instances, whether that is on demand instance, or whether that is a spot instances, about working with the EC2 instance is the same model. Model is the same approach. I mean, same way of connecting, same way of working. But instance, launch types, cost optimization techniques, these are all. Blindly go for this always running the on demand because that is more charge. But if you're looking at 1 year or some long-term commit about your services, then go for that reserved instances. But finally working with the EC2 instance. Another type which we have to see is spot instances. What about the spot instances is, they're all kind of the bidding option. Temporary workloads. This is recommended for temporary workloads. Don't plan it for the long-term workloads. But you will get the discount of up to 90%. You see that on the demand, 90%. Demand instances, if it is 100 rupees, but this way is going to have it to only 10 rupees. Lot of difference. But whenever you see this lot of discount, then something is happening in the background, right? Yeah, what is that something? So here you need to bid a price and get the instance as long as it's under the price. Suppose I opted for that, the bidding amount, something $4 per hour. But you come to this and you have bidded that I will pay the $4.5 per hour. Then my instance will be taken out and it will be allocated to you. Because you have bidded the more amount and you will get the instances, then my instances will be terminated immediately. Maximum 2 minutes notification, they will give that and they will take back about your instances without about your the approval. They have the full control on it. That's we say that spot. That's why we should not use it these spot instances for important workloads point of view. So this will be used especially scaling instances. Yes, you need to immediately have it some additional instances temporarily to handle the load. Then you can take the spot instances. Even if it is there or not, okay, the leave it off. But you have some reserved instances and additional instances required to handle the temporary load. Then you can request for the spot instances. Yeah, price varies based on the offer and demand, and spot instances are reclaimed with a 2-minute notification warning when the spot price goes above your bid. Only 2 minutes notification. You will get the notification after the 2 minutes, they will take it out about your instances. Then if you go for the small bidding, then you will get it. But cost is the less, but bidding price based, they will give it. Suppose in the Mumbai kind of the regions, there is no demand for that spot instance. Then I can bid for the low price and I will get it that. But US-based regions, high demand, then more bidding is required. That is the demand based to give the instances they have given this offer. Suppose if you go for this UAE based regions, then nobody will use it AWS that much over there in those countries. Then you will get it very the cheap cost about the EC2 instances if you are planning in those data centers. Yeah, that is on the basis of the region demand and bidding the current demand point of view. Yes, they give the instances. Yes, used for batch jobs. Yes, midnight jobs to run it, or some big data processing point of view, or workloads that are resilient to failures. Yes, expect the failure. Even that instance is failed also, no issues with the activity. Then if you have, then you can think of the spot instances. That means with the user data and all those things, you need to handle that, right? While launching that instance should get ready with my application. Even if it is terminated also, I will launch it one more instance and my instance immediately it is ready with the application. Yeah, not great for the critical jobs of the databases. Yes, that is about spot instances. These are all the bid based. But very cheap compared with all other types. And last we are talking about the dedicated host.
But it's like, so example, I bid for $20. So
Yes.
someone bids for 0.22, immediately my instance will terminate and it will be given to other user.
Yes, exactly.
So then it's like a data loss to if
Yeah,
we have
that's
a
you need
data.
to, yeah, that's you need to plan it. Even if the instance is terminated also, my data should not lose it. And if you have that kind of, I mean, taking
Load
the
balancing
backups, yes.
application.
If you properly plan it while terminating some hooks you triggering and taking the backups of the data, then you can terminate the instance. If you have that kind of the handling mechanism from about your side, then you can prefer the spot instances.
Okay, are the servers just used for processing? We can utilize these type of servers.
Yeah, temporarily processing purpose. Yes, exactly. Data processing, especially just taking and moving to that backend other systems integration point of view, some processing required, then you can use it. But you should not store the data on that instance. Yeah, so that's about spot. And finally, dedicated. Yes, as already we were understanding that. Yeah, this is a physical dedicated EC2 server for about your use and full control of EC2 instance placement also, and visibility into the underlying sockets, physical cores of the hardware. Yes, system administrators, they can have the full control on it, like how we are working this on-premises data center about our own physical systems. Yes, about our yes, team like administrator team, they have the full control on the socket level, physical cores level. That is virtualizing mechanism. We can apply that for about our EC2 instances. And allocated for about our account for a 3-year period. Yes, that is a long-term duration, which you have that option. And these are all the more expensive. But useful for software that have complicated licensing model. That is bring about your own license. That means if you have that Oracle software or some CRM softwares, where license is based on, and if you need that the virtual machine, then you can plan it these kind of the dedicated hosts. They're all for companies that have the strong regulatory or compliance needs. A security compliances point of view, if you have this kind of the requirement, then they can look at about that these kind of the dedicated hosts. And instances. Yes, host is full control on the placement also. Instances running on the hardware that is dedicated to you may share hardware with other instances in the same account. Yeah, same account that the hardware resources can be shared. No control over instance placement. That means it can be move the hardware, that is a racks, after the stopping and starting the instance. That is the main difference between the host and instances. Yeah, finally, which host is right for you? Suppose just we'll talk it with the general example, then we can understand. Suppose you are planning to book the resort. Suppose you have some the 1 week vacancy holidays, and you are planning to move. Planning to go to the some resort, but that is unexpected thing. That's holidays which you got. It is there is no before plan. Okay, let's go to the resort, and we will request them asking for the rooms. And if that is available, we'll take it. Otherwise, leave it after that. That's kind of the approach you have, and you went to the resort. So coming and staying in the resort whenever we like, we pay the full price, right? So that is on demand. So if they have that, the rooms, yes, they will allocate to you, but that is a cost is definitely high cost. Compare with that 1 month before the plan, if you book it, definitely the cost variation will be having that. Prior to 1 month, you booked the resort is nothing, but definitely you will get that some discount. Compare with that going now and asking that boss, I need to have the room or the resort. Yeah, that's like the allocation. Then if you request it, definitely that is a high cost. Second one is reserved one. It's like planning ahead, and if you plan to stay for a long time, we may get a good discount, right? Yeah, you have those 1 week or 2 weeks or the 3 weeks. That's a long duration you are taking that, and you have this already planned 1 month before or 2 months before. Definitely that resort you will get it, and in that also, if you pay the upfront some amount, that is 1 month before itself. If you are going to pay that amount, definitely the more discounts. But in that reserved, again, we have the flexible and a fixed one. Suppose you first you planned it the 2 members and you book the resort. And if you're going to use it, that's like the 2 members. And if you're going to use it, no issues. That's 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever the plan you have. But suddenly some 2 more members are added. Then you have booked it already, but some flexibility is required. Maybe 2 members or the 4 members, the adjusting that's like the big rooms are allocating that additional the resources which are required. So you don't have the guarantee initially, but you have opted for that flexibility. Then definitely they charge that high cost, and then on the basis of about your demand, whenever you are going there, you can opt for them. You can request for them, boss, we are coming that the 4 members, we arrange that resources. That is a flexibility. But if we say that the fixed one, 2 members were coming there, yes, that is they all give the resources only for the 2 members. But that is the cost is less. Compare with that, this flexibility. And you have the schedule. Okay, you went to the resort and you have some friends in that location. They are going to join that at the evening times. Then some additional resources allocated during that time. Then some additional cost which will be there. Getting the points of that? Yeah, spot instances. Spot instances, what is that? Suppose you went to that and yes, my additional friends have been joined. Then for those friends that we have requested, and they mentioned that boss, we have 1 room, but this is the cost which we have currently. I will give to this cost. But anyone asks us, anyone other members comes and if they pay that additional amount for that room, then you need to vacate that room. I will share that room to them. That is a spot. Yes, if you are okay with that, at any time to come back or to vacate it, then you can opt it the spot instances, and you will pay the current demand point of the amount. But anyone has come that and boss, I will pay that additional amount to give me that room. Okay, they have that option. Okay, if you give this amount, I will ask them to vacate it, and I will give that room to you. Yes, if I accept it, and they are going to take the room, immediately you need to vacate it. Getting the points of it, that is a spot. You can get kicked out at any time. Undedicated host. Yes, we book an entire building of the resort. That's you have the full control. Is it clear about that? Is it all we can say that? Launch types. But where do you have all these options? So now time is running. So we'll talk it tomorrow. I'll show that how you can request for the reserved instances or schedule based instances, or in that reserved also upfront cost, or monthly based cost. So how you can the request that AWS team whenever you need that EC2 instances. I'll talk it in the console tomorrow. But this is a concept required on the cost optimization techniques, and as well as on the base of about our client application needs, then which type of instances are required. Are you clear with this point? So type that launch types LT in the chart window. If you understand this concept, type that LT.
Sir, I have two doubts. Those are small one.
Yeah,
I
please.
ask. So earlier one you were telling that there is a rack placement, for instance.
Yes, yes.
Usually this is a logical container, right? There is no limit, or do we have any limit for example, in my organization we have 100 instances.
Yeah.
All instances should connect each other, and there might be a possibility here and there copying the files. So to fit into that one container, like one rack, is that can placement is that possible? But whenever on demand, we can extend it that rack. I mean CPU, memory, whatever.
Logically, yes.
Yeah, we can. There is no limit, right?
Yeah, there is no limit. We
Okay.
have the scalability features on the storage level, and as well as on the disk level, the scalability features. So you can start it from the 20 GB, and you can request that up to something 16 terabytes of that data. We have that the auto scaling feature. Automatically, it will be increased on the base of the storage which you are using that.
Okay. Yeah, now I got that. Another one is when we are bidding on that, you have 10 rooms are free, and out of that, you gave that one bidding for one person allocated one set of amount, but you have remaining nine rooms are available for free. So in those cases,
Are you talking about it from the AWS side or about our customer side? Free in
yeah,
the sense.
AWS bidding one I'm talking about.
Okay,
The bidding one.
Okay, AWS side.
Yeah.
But they don't announce it all
Yeah.
the points, right? We have these many free and all this. They don't announce all the things.
Yeah, they don't allow. But the only thing is, if one customer comes, if he occupied, he bid that and he took that one instance, and another customer came and another customer is also requested for one instance, but your logical container have multiple instances, right? There is no limit.
Yes.
So in those cases, what criteria they will follow? But it's kind of one is to one relation or one is to many relation.
Here I didn't exactly got the point. Maybe understanding point of view. See here, as simplicity is okay. Let me show that how you will be having that option is if you just understand that from about our side how the AWS team is providing. then you will get that idea. How do we use it from about our side? So whenever we are launching that instance, have it admitted? Okay. So whenever we are launching the instance, if you go to the advanced details, yes, here you can see that request spot instances. So if I need that spot instances, yes, these instance as a spot instance. Normally this is going to launch as a on demand. But if I need that spot instance, I'll select this one. And you can go to the customize options. So here you have that no maximum price. That means request spot instances at the spot price, capped at the on-demand price. That is one option which is available. Or you can go ahead, set about your maximum price per instance per hour. So we don't have that whether they have the 10 concepts or the 20 concepts. No, we don't know that backend. So they are going to say that, okay, this is the current cost price. Are you going to use this one or are you going to bid more? So here you can request it, and the request type also, is it one time or do you want to persistent? That means continuing that with the demand point of view. Or if you would like to use it, instead of using all these pricing model, there is no guarantee on that other persons or what is the amount they are going to give it, but I don't want to lose it. And as per the demand, move that the price cost. Yes, you can go for that. The maximum price. No, I'm not going to define the maximum price. But if you have this, these instances, it can be terminated at any time. But I can do the bidding only this much amount as per the current requirement point of view. If you have the specific requirement, if you define that amount, once this amount is beyond that, whether one customer or more customers, as more demand is required, then yes, more cost which will be increased, right? Whenever that cost is increased, irrespective of the individual customer. So
Okay. Yeah, that the provision is on demand. I mean,
yes,
depends on the demand.
Demand.
Okay, maybe yeah. Now I understand. Maybe that time they have some set of some limitation.
But more
in that.
customers are asking, and all the hardware resources they have full it. I mean, it has been full all the resources, but still more demand they are getting that. Then they increase the hour cost of the instance.
Okay.
Whenever it is increased, okay, whatever the cost you have opted. If it is under the control, then it is fine. But if it is the cost as the demand point of it is increased, then about your cost is maximum cost you have specified only this much I can spare on it. But if it is cost to the current demand is more than that, then about your insurance will be taken up.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. That is purely from their end how to decide.
Yeah, that is from their end. We don't have the control. But how much you can bid it as per about your budget plan point of view for these instances, then you can mark it about your amount. That's all.
Okay.
If the demand is under control, you will get those spot instances, or otherwise you don't get the spot instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost I shown that spot instances how you can create it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, while creating that, you can request for the spot instances and maximum price required or not. And if you have this maximum price, you can opt it. So this is one option if you need the spot instances. So otherwise, this is going to have it as a normal on-demand instance. But remaining instances, yes, you see that here, reserved instances are available, dedicated hosts are available. But here in this region, Mumbai region, you don't see the scheduled based reserved instances. That is applicable only in some regions, scheduled based. Suppose here I see that spot request you can do, reserved instances I can do, dedicated hosts I can do, but schedule based reserved instances I don't have. But if I switch to that, US region, in the Mumbai region, they didn't give that schedule-based reserved instances. But here, if I switch to that, the US region, now here you see that schedule-based instances also you can request it. So that is, these are all on the base of the region. In that region, data centers, the physical hardware resource they have set up is nothing, but they have some limitation, right? As per the demand point of view. And as per that, yes, reserved instances they are going to look at it, then they will extend that. But on-demand instances, maybe you are going to use it 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. There is no guarantee for them. That's why they are charging more. And spot instances, yes, the current demand point of view, they will give it that. Yeah, these are all that like their infrastructure to control it. They have given that options. Are you clear that?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's all from my side. But anyway, I will show that like reserved instances, how you can request it, and dedicated his host, how you can request it. That's tomorrow. I'll show that. Then we will talk it about it instance types. So this is a section. I'll talk it as what are the different instance type, which type of instance is required for which services. That is also some concepts which we should know. But these are all just the cost optimization techniques, and in the point of it will be helpful. But I'm not going to give the complete demonstration on it. But know that at any time the client asks about it, is the requirement based, the long-term workloads or short-term workloads, or the specific license software he is going to install it on the EC2 instance. So on the basis of his requirement, where we can suggest to him. So those points of view, I'm just covering these points, but we cannot do that practically everything. But these are all like once it has been taken the request, and if you pay that amount, they will give that instance. How we are working with that on-demand instance, remaining instance is working it also the same. Until that dedicated course, some placement you need to create it. Other than that, remaining story the same. Yeah, so thank you. That's all from my side for today. Any queries, questions before going to wind up? Not wind up, that is logging. Yeah, please.
Yeah, one more thing, sir. One more thing. These OS level, any maintenance comes like kernel upgrade, all these OS level change, major upgrades like
Yes.
Linux 7 to 8. How
Yeah.
they will do that? Because in the instance type, they were have specifically mentioned that
No.
Linux 7.
They don't do that anything. But whenever you are choosing that AMI is which OS you are looking about it and what is the OS version. But once it has been launched that instance with that AMI, if you need that any updates or upgrades, then you are responsible.
Okay. That
Got the
time
point?
we need user DevOps.
This is just as we are talking about it, infrastructure as a service we are talking. But if you go for the platform, then they will manage in the background. You don't need to worry about. But here, you know that how to manage the operating systems. You know that how to configure the networks. You should know that how do we configure the databases. Then you can use it infrastructure as a service.
Yeah.
But if you're not good with all the things, but you have just application, but I don't want to worry about it, all the backend network, backend virtual machines and all these, then go for the platform as a service mode. Just with one click, if you need the Tomcat environment, yes, choose the Tomcat environment and which database for the Tomcat database. Within the minutes, the platform will be created. Just apply whatever application and run the test cases if you have. That is a platform. Then who is managing the background? All the Tomcat machines and the database machines, that is AWS team.
Yeah, AWS team, individual like DB team within the AWS team, within the Unix, or they were upgrading frequently.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
okay, got it.
They will take care of the security patches and all that. So if whenever we are requesting the RDS, I will explain that. There's a managed service.
Oh.
Then what is the role about our role and what is about their role. But this EC2 instance is about our, just we are taking the infra support from them and we are managing the about our OSS.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no issues. Yeah, so that's all from my side. I'm going to log off. Thank you everyone. We'll look into this tomorrow. Just like reserved instance, how you can request it, and dedicated host and schedule based. Yes, there are some points we look into that in the console, and then we'll move to that. Another important concepts, launch times. Yeah, and then yes, next EBS volumes and all that we go for that one. Thank you all.